What's going on, people? I'm Brad. Today we're going to be replacing a toilet, hooking in a new toilet, and getting a place to have a proper dump. For this project you don't need that many tools. What I have here is an adjustable wrench, channel locks, a large standard screwdriver, or as I refer to it, a flathead. You have your scraper, that's for the wax seal at the bottom of the toilet. Sometimes it gets really tricky. I'm also throwing in the pry bar, although I'm not sure if we're going to need to use it, just for rusted bolts and stuff like that. And sometimes the wax seal. And yes, for those who can read, I do use Mastercraft crappy tire tools. So deal with it. Speaking of the wax seal, I have a wax-free seal kit here. I prefer this because with the wax seal, you only have one chance. When you lay that toilet down, if you don't get it positioned the right way, you gotta scrape it off and start over with a whole new wax seal. This you can use as many times as you'd like. It also has a 5-year guarantee. Step number 1 of this project: shut off the water to your toilet. You can find a knob at the back of your toilet, and all you do is turn the knob till the water's off. Pretty simple. You can also use the more difficult way, which is shut off the water to your house and then turn on all the taps to make sure all the water out of the pipes are done. I'd choose this method 100 times out of 100, just because the other way seems kind of really dumb. Your next step after the water is shut off is to drain your toilet. The way to do this is to hold down your lever, let all the water from the tank drain, and once it has drained, you're going to take a damp cloth, and you're going to dab away all the water in the tank. You're going to dab it, and if there's any left in the bowl, you're going to unfortunately have to dab that too. As you can tell, there probably hasn't been water in my toilet for ages. Funny story to that. We're just gonna cut the middle of this video with a little bit of story time. Story time with Brad. My pump in the back of the toilet was a little bit messed up. My sister decided to take a massive dump. Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. I was gone from the house for a good week or two. Let her know the pump wasn't working. She still decided to do it. I came back and I saw that and was like, that's nasty. So I got burning hot water, mixed it with a little bit of bleach. And as you know, hot water, cold porcelain doesn't mix. Now the toilet's cracked. So that was my bad. And that was about a year and a half ago, so I figured about time to replace this. You remember earlier I talked about using a pry bar for rusty and sort of just difficult bolts. This is where that would come into play. As you can see, I'm spinning the bolt, but it is not coming up. So what you're going to want to do is take that pry bar and get it wedged underneath the bolt and have it in a lifting position while you turn, so it brings the bolt up. I would show you, but I only got 2 hands. So you're going to take the pry bar, get it underneath there. As you can see, the screwdriver's sort of underneath it. And you keep it in that kind of motion while you screw up. And this will give you the pressure to bring the screw up. Funny story, dumb me. Totally forgot there's a nut underneath the bolt, underneath the tank there, so all you really have to do is just twist a little, get that nut, spin that nut off, and your bolts are taken off the tank. Pretty simple. For some people. Not really me. So, we now have our bolts disconnected. What I choose to do is just put them all inside the old tank, just in case you need pieces in the future when putting the new toilet together. I doubt it'll happen, but you never know. Before we remove the tank, I forgot to mention, we also have to disconnect the water to the water supply. I don't know, whatever you want to call it. Also, probably channel locks. Whoever put this in didn't tighten it that much, so that's all it's going to take for me. It's going to be a little wet. You're going to want a towel, just mop up whatever spills. There's going to be probably a little bit of water no matter what. Don't fret. Now we're going to take the tank off. As you can see, it's super loose. Another thing I strongly suggest is resting the tank and the bowl once that is off on a towel. I would recommend a dirty towel, as no sense in creating more laundry. But that's my preference. Our next step is to take off the nuts. They usually have there's usually a white casing on top of them. Again, we moved into this house, they didn't have it, so that's just what it is. It's going to be rusty and nasty and gross. But what we're going to do is remove the nut on either side, or both sides as I should say. And that'll free up to get this nasty ass toilet off the floor. So we're gonna use our channel locks, or I'm probably gonna use my channel locks, or you could use your adjustable wrench. It does not matter. All right. So as you can see now, we have our bolts and washers off of both sides. Now the toilet's very loose. We're gonna take that off. I'm gonna place it on a towel just next to the other, well, to the tank. As you can see, that's nasty as fuck. So if you're a smoker or you just want to eat something, I recommend washing your hands still, but doing it now before we get into this. That's gross. I don't even know what the fuck that thing is, but it's gross. Yeah, nasty. Other thing to take note of is the wax seal. It had a plastic thing, so you're gonna want to take that out of the flange as well. As you can see, I got paper towel and just like a grocery bag type deal. They're pretty needed for this, unless you just like to get down and dirty. So eventually you're gonna get down to the nitty and gritty. It's just a thin layer of wax all over the place. What I choose to do, I'm not sure if everybody does it, is you get a nice steaming bucket of water, and hopefully not a cloth that your wife or girlfriend, it's not their favorite cloth. Unless you're in a fight with them, then totally use your favorite cloth, because it's probably going to be ruined after this. And we're going to just scrub away and get rid of all that wax. So as you can see, most of the wax is removed. Next thing we're going to do is take the bolts out. I've removed one already. It's pretty simple. All you do is bring it out to the edge, and it's out. We're going to replace those. They usually come in with a new toilet or with your seal. We're going to replace that with the ones that came with our seal, and we'll see you in a minute. So we now have our new bolt. What we're going to want to do is place it in here, slide it to the position we want, and she's in. Make sure they're held in. As you can see, I've left the wax in a couple of the crevices here. This is for if the seal does not completely seal it, which it should and will, then we have a backup. So I'm not going to take all the wax out. I've taken it all off this. As you can see, I got a bit more. I'm going to clean that before I drop the toilet. But we got our bolts in, and we're going to determine the size of the rubber. I should say on your pack, depending on where the flange is, if it's in perfectly flat with the floor, below the floor, or above the floor, you're going to have to take out some seals, or maybe get a couple more of the foam padding, I mean. Alright. Okay, so we got our bolts in, and we have our seal. You can see that I've taken out a big part of the seal, the big part of the foam. This is because our flange is sitting more than a ½ inch above the ground. If you're using a rubber seal like I am, your package will have instructions on what to do if it's below the ground, flat with the ground, or above the ground. Since mine's ½ inch above the ground, I take out the big part of the seal. If you're using a wax seal, it doesn't matter. The wax you'll rotate the toilet back and forth until the wax sits even with the floor, or the toilet sits even with the floor. Better yet to say. So now we're gonna go get the toilet. So now we're gonna get the bolts lined up with the holes. And now the next step is to get the nuts onto the bolts. I would recommend using the nuts that they give you in the package. You can use the old ones if you'd like. I saved them just in case, but I'm probably not going to use them. As you can see, there's a rubber washer, or a plastic washer. This is going to be on each side. It's because you don't want the metal touching the porcelain. I mean, it can touch the porcelain, but you don't want to tighten the metal to the porcelain, because porcelain can be brittle. I find, and I'm going to put the washer on that one too. Then we're going to tighten on the nuts, and the toilet will be set on the floor. So, as you can see, these are pretty tight now. Most bolts will have a slot for a standard or flathead screwdriver, and then you can tighten it with your adjustable, a wrench, or your channel locks. You can also, what I do, which is probably not recommended, is grip them with a pair of pliers and then use a wrench or an adjustable or channel locks to tighten. You want your toilet so it's not going to move, it's not going to shake. We're pretty solid right there. That means the seal's good, hopefully. Only way to find out is once we have the tank and stuff on. Which brings me to my next step. Get in the tank. So, as you can see, we have our tank here. Now, before we lay the toilet, we're going to have to put the seal on here. This is going to keep the water from escaping from the connection between the toilet and the tank. So if we don't have the seal, the water can come out, it'll pool up here obviously. You can see the rim that's going to be holding the tank. It'll pool up and come out the sides where the bolts are going. So what we're going to do is get that seal on. If you look at the seal, you'll see there's a divot on the inside. This is going to be going around where you see these striped edges are here. And this outer edge is going to be going around the top part here. You're going to have to stretch it a little, but it will fit. Alright, so most tanks, I'm assuming, are kind of different. This particular tank, what we're going to do is we're going to stick this on the inside of the tank. As you can see, it's got the brass washer and the rubber washer. This is going to be the seal on the inside of the tank so water doesn't escape and flow underneath. Then, underneath the tank, once this is in the tank, we're going to have this brass washer on the underneath, so it'll probably be a space like that, and then this brass nut. This is going to tighten the washer to it and tighten so the seal inside the tank is good. Then once both those are on each side of the tank, we're going to place the tank with these on onto the toilet bowl. Once it's on the toilet bowl, we're going to take this silver piece, sort of a washer I guess, and the wing nut, and we're going to tighten the tank to the bowl. That's it for this part. So this is kind of what I meant. Sorry for the blurriness, my camera at the front's busted, but we got the brass washer, the brass nut. This is on the underside of the tank. And on the inside of the tank, we have the rubber seal with the brass washer. The rubber seal's underneath the brass washer. We got it nice and snug. You don't want to over tighten it, again, because I said this is porcelain. Porcelain does break easy. You just want it snug, you don't want it tight. Just enough so the water is sealed. So, as you can see, our tank is on the bowl. Underneath here, you have that little silver washer thing with a wing nut. And that's on both sides. You want to tighten it, again. Snug, not super tight. You can crack the porcelain. Alright guys, we're super close to being done. What we're going to do now is we're going to put on the handle. I've already taken the rubber seal off as well as the plastic nut. What we're going to do is we're going to insert the handle in our toilet. Make sure it's fitting nice. Then we're going to put on that rubber seal and the plastic nut, and we're going to tighten it. We're also going to be putting the chain on, but I will show you that in a second. So we now have our handle on. It's tightened on. Now what we're going to do is hook on the chain. You'll see your chain has a little hook again. Sorry for the blurriness. Front camera is a little busted. We're going to hook that up to one of the holes on the handle. I'm going to choose the second one as I feel that will still pull it up. And yeah, then we're going to hook up the water. Hey guys, we are super close now, which is great. The handle's on, good. We got the chain on. We got enough slack in the chain that the flap there lays flat, so it won't break its seal. It's not going to be hanging up a little bit. Like if it was sat like that, it was nice and tight. The chain was nice and tight. That would give us a constant running toilet. But yeah, it's flat. Thumbs up, that's what we want. Now what we're going to want to do is to hook up the water. This toilet came with its own water connector thing, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to use the old toilets. I'm sure it'll fit. And all you want to do is you're going to hand tighten that on. Maybe get a little crank with the channel locks after, just to make sure it's nice and tight. And then we're going to turn on the water and see what happens. Alright people, we got the water hooked up. Everything's sealed, hopefully. And then if it works, all we gotta do is the cosmetics. So let's turn it on and see what happens. I don't want to turn it on too much, just enough. Should be fine there. We're going to check for leaks. The bottom of the toilet will not be leaking yet, as we haven't flushed. So you just want to keep a good eye, make sure water's not coming out of nowhere. That was a part of the old, the new toilet's water connection. But so far we got no water. It's good, it's what we like to see. Toilet's filling up nice. Let's wait for her to stop and we're going to give her a flush. Still looking. Okay. Moment of truth, people. For nothing. Any water leaking out? It would totally suck if it was. So far we're looking pretty good. I know you may see this. That's looks like a stain or something. It's not wet. I noticed that, got me scared for a half second. But wow. Look. Good. You're gonna want to do this a couple times. Give it a couple flush. We're gonna try it again. Just make sure it's completely sealed. And it seems to be. So now we're gonna do the cosmetics. That shouldn't take us too long. Your toilet will come with a lid. I'm not gonna show you how to put a lid on. I'm sure you got that. We're gonna have that, and then we're gonna do the seat and the bolt covers, and we should be done. Hey guys, sorry about that. So when putting on the toilet seat, you're gonna have usually these three pieces. They may be a little different, but generally the same idea. You got your nut, or sorry, your sort of spin tighten nut, I guess. I don't know what to call it. Your plastic bolt. The bolt also has a slot for your screwdriver, standard screwdriver, or flathead. And you got your washer. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the cover off the toilet seat piece at the back here. You can usually just grab it and rip it open. Yours may be a little different, I'm not sure. Then what we're going to do is we're going to get our nut, or bolt, sorry. We're going to shove her in. And once our bolt's in, I'm not going to do this completely here because it's the wrong side. But you're going to shove it in there. Then you're going to take your washer, plastic washer. You're going to put it on the underside. Then you're going to get your nut and you're going to spin tight it on. You're going to do this to both sides. Once it's secure, you can use this slot to get it really cranked tight, but you don't really need it too tight. It's just a toilet seat. And then once you're done, you just throw your cover on, and no one will even know it's there. Once we're done this, we're going to get our bolt covers, and we'll see you then. So, unfortunately, my bolts are too long for the bolt covers, but it's pretty simple. All you got to do is place your cover onto the bolt. It should rest there flat. If it doesn't rest there sort of flat, there is also a little washer you can get that'll make it so it won't move at all. But this one's too small at the moment. I don't have a saw with me, it's at work, so I gotta go grab that. But it's a simple thing. If you don't have a saw with you, you're probably gonna need one, or get some heavy duty pliers that cut. Or you can just leave it. I'm probably just gonna leave it for another couple months, maybe a year and a half again. But eventually it will get cut down and there will be covers. So as you can see now, we now have a working toilet. all we wanted. So we're good with that. We can now take fat dumps. So hopefully your toilet's working like mine is. I'll make this quick because I want to sit on the throne and get her done. But I just want to say thanks for watching. Click like if you like this video. Click subscribe if you really liked it. I plan on making a couple of these videos in the future. Not really the immediate future, but once I have my own house, which should be within the year, hopefully. I'm going to be doing a whole bunch of these videos. So subscribe if you want to see more, and they will be starting to pile up within the next year. Thanks.